Hey everybody, it's Steve with Sky194, and I sure appreciate you stopping by and checking out my video. And got a great setup for everyone today. Got the Aston Martin finished, if I could talk and get my tongue out of the way. And I think it's a really good one. It's basically my did my personal best in time and pretty much matched it in the lap time, but also over the whole stint. So it's definitely a really strong contender, which I've always said that the Aston Martin, if you look in general, I mean, obviously, if you look at a certain track, yeah, you might have a car that's a little stronger, or this or that. But if in general, Aston Martin's probably, if not the fastest car, it's definitely in the top three in general over all of the track. All of the tracks if you take into consideration. It's just that good, and the chassis is that good, and and especially since they did the update, it just seems like it got a little stronger. So that's why it's so popular, especially in multiplayer. And so let's just do a real quick follow up on the track guide. It's just going to be try to be as quick as I can, so I'll make sure everybody gets this. This is pretty much kind of like the AMG. Of course, it does have an AMG motor in it, so that makes sense. But I just want to make sure that in case you didn't see that video, you'll pick it up in this one. So let's go behind here. Great place spa. And of course I use this red over here like I do just about everything. Coming up to that, with the Aston Martin, I can go pretty much up to it, so you can go pretty deep. Of course, the brakes on the Aston Martin are great. Of course, I try to do a late apex and then open it up, run it out, so I can open it up and get on the gas absolutely as soon as possible. One thing that's great about this is you can get on the curb here, and it's not gonna upset it. I mean, I didn't there, but I have gotten on the curb, and it's not a big deal. So you're not gonna wreck. So that's awesome. I even one time I think I got on it real hard, and it didn't even wreck. I mean, it might upset it a little bit, but that's it. And of course, let's back up. And of course, right here. Right into the 100, actually past the 100 and into the where the curbing is here. That's how deep you can go, and of course you use all the curb on the right as much as you can. Downshift to second, same as the other cars. And of course, I put my left side tires on the edge of this here. I try to stay off the green. Sometimes I barely hit it or whatever, but I just try to hang it over here. And of course, everything you've seen is all legal. I did not have any out of bounds at all for the 30 minutes. Hang to the left, be wide open, come back to the right. You can run out a little wide, but just try to watch it because you can't get in out of bounds there. And of course here, use that curbing back the start of that curbing for braking there. And of course here, I try to enter just a teeny bit wide, and then bring it in really close to the curbing, go out wide. Now, unlike the AMG that has a little bit more acceleration than the Aston Martin, don't stay in third. And with the Aston Martin, you want to go down to second, and because even the AMG barely has enough. And like we talked about in that video, if you don't practice and get it right, you can leave yourself open to attack. So, but the Aston Martin, with the way the gears are in it and the acceleration, I wouldn't even take a chance. You don't gain any time. So I would just, again, you were going to go from third down to second and get a good drive through here. Again, use the red marker up here, the red on the fence here. Downshift into third, and you can trail brake going into here. It's very friendly. Of course, you can go deep into here again, And like the AMG, I kind of do the same thing with the Aston Martin. I go downshift into third, and then as I'm going into the corner, I downshift into second to kind of help slow it down and make the turn, bring it in a little tighter. A little wide there. Probably what cost me a tenth or so. And then here, the curbing here, just downshift to second, from third to second. It's wide open all the way. Again here, I was braking a little early. I'm right here at the 150. I was going deeper, so that's probably where I can get some time later in this stint. But basically, it's past the 150, in here somewhere, kind of like the AMG, basically about the same spot. So let's go inside the car. 219.666. The best is a 219.12 right now. Very easy to drive. Again, I've always said that Aston Martin's driver friendly for sure. That went a lot deeper that time. And that was my fast lap at a 218.98, which, if y'all, like I said in the last video, when I was doing a race with the AI, I ran a 218.90, I think it was. So, and of course that's with drafting. So again, it's definitely going to pick up with drafting. So let's watch the last lap, and then we'll go over the setup. And of course, I'll put a link to the setup in the description. That was a 219.92, which is actually my slowest lap of the 30 minutes. If you don't count my first lap. I don't ever count the first one because the tires are not, they're not up to temperature yet. and it goes up a rouge just great. And like I said, I mean, if you hit the curbing on the inside, you don't wreck. I mean, so it leaves you a lot of leeway in case you do go hit it or something, and it's just, oh, it's so easy. One of the easiest cars I've driven here at Spa, and be able to go that fast. It's, you know, I know why a lot of people use it in multiplayer, like Black Eye and Miguel and all these other guys that are really fast. It's just, you know, it's a very easy car to drive and drive fast. It's such a good chassis. You know, good handling, good balance. You know, really good speed. I mean, had good speed down the straightaway. Great on the brakes. You know, if you have it set up right, it's very good on the brakes. And there's really not too many negatives of the car of it. I mean, the only thing is acceleration, but that doesn't, you know, doesn't really hurt the car too much on most tracks. Ran a little wide there. And that was a 2:19.51. So not a bad lap for my last lap. I mean, I thought it was, you know, pretty decent. So let's go ahead and go to the setup. Show the timetables first. So you can see there's no outs. You know, only the first lap was a 2:20, but all the rest were 2:19s all the way down. And like I said, my slowest was a 2:19.92. My fastest was a 2:18.98. So it's all right in there. Very quick car, solid. Again, let's go to the setup. And on the front tires, I got 26. And on the rears, I got 25.8. The toe is negative 0.1 in the front, with the camber at negative 3.5 and the caster at 14.2. On the rear, the toe is 0.1 and the camber is negative 2.8. Electronics are 3, 5, 1, and 3. Fuel, of course, I had 80 liters. And there are the tires. I had light graining on the front. That's it after 30 minutes, but you can see that even the last lap was still a good lap. And I did not jack up any of the brake bias, which you can. I have in other stints, and it works fine. And what I would do with that is just like a few tenths at a time, and that way it's gradual, and it does help the car. And so, you know, maybe, you know, if you're doing, you know, right near the end of the 45 minutes or an hour, you can do that, and it would actually help the car stop and rotate a little bit. But you can see the wear is pretty even, a little bit more to the rear than the front, but very close. So I like that. So that's good. And fuel-wise, it's right between 78 and 80 liters for 45 minutes. If you calculate that. Anti-roll bar is 5. Brake bias is 59, and that's what I'm saying. You could go down to 58 with no problem at all. I would, again, I would do it in small increments, 2 or 3 tenths at a time over so many laps, and that way it's just a gradual thing, and it works really well that way. And you definitely can still notice the difference on stopping and it just rotating a little bit. So, like, if you're just starting to get, you know, near the, and I was still fine right near the end of that 30 minutes. It was still good. But, you know, I mean, if you want to really push it and try to get every last nth out of it, you could, you know, do that and would help, and it would help. The steering ratio I have at 15, and again, like like I've talked about in prior videos, I have my wheels set up at 640. I'm pretty much doing that on all now to where it's pretty much on every vehicle now. I have it set on 640, and I'm adjusting every car with the steer ratio accordingly to get it the way turn the way I like it. And of course, that's all personal preference. The springs on all the way, all four corners are 155,000. You can click one up on all these if you want. If you can try that, it does not hurt. I tried it, and they both feel really good. Um, and it still goes up a rouge really good. So I mean, either way you would like it, it will work fine. It seemed to go more. The times over the 30 minutes seem to be more consistent with it this way, where the stiffer springs seem to peak and valley a little more. So I kind of went with this way, but they're really close. The bump stop rate is 900 and the bump stop range is 5 on the front, and on the rear the bump stop rate is 600 and the bump stop range is 30. The anti-roll bar is 4 and the preload on the diff is 30. And pretty much I tried a lot of different things with that, and I just couldn't, putting more preload to the diff just didn't work and actually made a lot of things worse. So really the 30 works really well. And if you put more diff in it, it's just basically it's going to try to run wide on some of the corners, some of these fast sweepers and things like that. It's going to run wide, and you can't hold it wide open. And then on the tight chicane there at the end where you're doing the real, the right and the left, it just doesn't want to go through there really quick. So, and you lose time. So that's why basically 30 is, I tried. I know I went up to 50. I don't think 60. I went up to 50, but it just kept getting worse. So, basically it's something 30 is really and that's actually what it was on the aggressive. So I mean, a lot of these things are different than aggressive, but that actually was the same as the aggressive setup. Which the aggressive setup was good. I mean, it was a good setup. I just improved upon it. The shocks on the front are 18, 17, 22, and 25. And on the rear, it's 17, 15, 20, and 20. Aero got 56 in the front, 75 in the rear with a 6 rear wing and a 3 and a 2 and a brake ducts. And again, I did some adjustments here. And the front aero variation is a 2.8 to the positive. The front ride, of course, they do that with all the setups. I don't care what car it is. It seems like not all of them, but let's say 80 or 90% of them, the ride height in the front is always all the way down. And I think that's why, it hits some stuff. I just raised it up one click, and it seemed to help to where I didn't see any kind of impact on any of the curbs. I was, even on going up a Rouge where, you can easily, lose it just like I did last week with the Porsche. But, I mean, this is not going to, won't do that. So, everything else was really good. And that is the setup. And I've tried some different settings with the ride height in the rear. I tried, a little higher. I think the rear wing was 8 on the aggressive. So it's got a lot of rear wing in it on the aggressive setup. It was 8. And you can see how much the front aero variation drops. So it's, of course, it was a different ride height too. So I mean, it was, I don't remember what it was aggressive wise, but I know it had 8 rear wing, which is a good amount of wing, especially for the Aston Martin. But of course, a 3 and a 2 and the brake ducts, and of course, like I said, all my temperatures are always mid 20s when I do all my setups, and no wind or low wind. And I do that to try to be as consistent as I can between one car to the next. But of course, tires and brake ducts all have to be adjusted accordingly depending upon your conditions. And of course, I will got this as a setup, and I will put this in a link of this in the description. And I sure hope that you give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and share it. And it really would help with all the YouTube algorithms and all that stuff which I know you guys hear all the time, but it really would help, especially with a little channel like mine. And I would appreciate, any support. And I always enjoy talking to all my friends, all of you. And any comments or feedback is always appreciated. And I sure hope you go out and turn your personal best, or do good in whichever race you get into, whether it's a championship mode or multiplayer or whatever. And I hope it does really good for you, and I hope you come back and visit again real soon. Y'all take care. See ya.